Welcome to the Cody Lee channel. I am so happy you are here. In this episode, I wanted to talk about the hustle, burnout, and worthiness culture. I feel like we have an addiction to hustling and working hard, but it's a little misdirected. And I often find that what we're actually doing is hustling for our worthiness, which ultimately always leads to burnout. So today I really wanted to talk about this whole kind of culture and addiction to working really hard and hustling and, being busy all the time as though it's a badge of honor, rather than really trying to work on our own sense of worthiness, our own sense of groundedness, and coming from a centered place. Now, I'm one who's all for hard work. If you know anything about me, I love working hard, but I love working hard on things I'm passionate about, which gives a completely different spin on the whole hustling or working hard for something. And certainly, I am not hustling for my worthiness in the process of my working hard. And I want to break that down a little bit so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. But I specifically want to talk about how we often hustle for our worthiness and how that ultimately leads to burnout. So how can we change this pattern and heal it for good? So first, let's break down the word hustle. I am going to use my handy dandy cheat sheet here because I did look it up on the dictionary, and so I just want to make sure that I actually read it correctly. I'm not made of magic here. All right, so hustle as a verb is to force someone to move hurriedly or unceremoniously in a specific direction. Push, roughly, jostle, hurry, or bustle. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound very fun or appealing or something that I actually want to do in my life. So let's go to the next one. The informal verb definition, obtained by force, action, or persuasion. Well, that sounds super intense. I don't know that I want that one either, right? Ooh, okay, so let's go to noun. Maybe it'll be better. Noun, busy movement and activity. And the informal is a fraud or swindle. So basically, hustle means you gotta have a lot of busy activity all the time constantly. Well, obviously that's going to lead to burnout. I mean, just thinking about the idea of all the things you have to do and doing it constantly and then maybe swindling people in the process, or maybe overlooking things because you're just trying to keep it going and constantly moving. And I mean, it'll give you anxiety just from that. In our culture, though, hustle has kind of become synonymous with working hard in order to accomplish something. Especially as an entrepreneur, you gotta hustle for it, you gotta make that money, you gotta get out there and do something. All of those are kind of around this intensity of doing, but really, my question in that is, where is the being? Where is the essence of who you are? Where is the alignment? Where is the joy? Is the joy in the hustle? I certainly think people enjoy working hard and also enjoy working hard in their specific niche, whatever that is. And if you are designed to basically work hard and be like a generator in the world of human design, and that is you work hard for the thing that you're passionate about, and the more you work, the more energy you receive. This is a good thing. I think this is absolutely incredible. But if you're doing any of the hard work or the doing or the hustle or the busy activity without any of the joy, you're going to lead to burnout. And the joy is what creates the alignment. And a lot of times what ends up happening is we're going after success, we're going after a relationship, we're going after, a job proposal, we're going after an entrepreneurial business, we're going after something outside of ourselves in order to fill a gap within ourselves. And this is where I come to the majority of burnout is because we're hustling for our worthiness, not coming from a grounded, centered place within ourselves, feeling our own sense of value, feeling our own sense of worthiness, coming from the centered body, and then taking action, and then doing all of the hard work. So I first want to acknowledge two different aspects of hustle, right? Hustling or working hard, the benefits. What are the benefits of hustling and working hard? Well, the benefits really are that you get a put your nose to the grind, especially when things are difficult and maybe you need to push through a project. It's really important to know how to push through and work hard. When you're creating something new and in the beginning, you kind of have to do more work in order to get that ball rolling. That's really important to have an understanding of how to work hard for something, how to make the right sacrifices, right? Like, in the beginning of opening an entrepreneur business, going out and buying a $50,000 car probably is not going to be the best investment unless that $50,000 car somehow is like the thing that's going to make you $1 million, which I don't think it is. Let's all be real. But thinking about sacrifices and making sound investments and appropriate investments is really important. Certainly, as you're growing a business, it takes money to make money. We all kind of have that concept. You have to invest in your business. You have to invest in yourself. But this also comes to the internal. If you're trying to be successful at that business because you feel like in order for you to be valuable, you have to prove your success, you're going about it backwards. Also, if you're going about trying to find happiness and trying to find joy by this success of whatever it is you're creating, the success of the relationship, the success of the business, the success of your kids, the success of your marriage, the success of your household, like those are all things that you may be going after. But if you're going after them and you want to have them be successful, but you're attaching your own sense of value to the success or failure of them, you're going about it backwards, right? So hustling and working hard is really critical, and we need it at different areas in our life. We need it at different areas to push through. I mean, I think about new moms, right? New moms, they've just had their baby. Their body has just gone through this huge transformation, and now they gotta get up at all intermittent hours of the night to take care of a little baby. That's hard work. You got to know how to push through and work hard to take care of that little baby. I think about the same, when you're starting, sometimes when you're in a difficult spot in a relationship. Maybe you are meeting a challenge together. You're both changing and evolving, but you kind of have to step in and you're not always going to be able to show up to the relationship 50-50 perfectly. Sometimes it's going to be 20-80. Sometimes it's going to be, 80-80, sometimes it'll be 20-20. Like, sometimes we just have to show up with the best version of ourselves and kind of work through the challenges that are present. But here's where I want to go to the downsides of the hustle and the downsides of working hard, which is when we are misdirecting it, when we're directing it towards our own sense of value is found outside of myself, right? When I'm seeking my value by the definition of a success or a failure of something, that's when I'm absolutely misusing hustle and working hard. When I am pushing and working hard and doing all these things, and suddenly that habit, that culture of being busy becomes my identity, becomes who I am, becomes how I value myself, we got a problem. We got a huge crisis. And so when you are really thinking about, why am I working so hard? Is it out of the love and the joy I have for the things that I'm doing? Or is it because I'm trying to prove that I'm worthy enough? I'm trying to prove that I'm good enough? A really great example of where I constantly hustled for my worthiness and I didn't even realize it were in my relationships, my romantic relationships in particular. I would go in and out of relationships. 6 to 9 months was like my limit on relationships. And it was mainly because I was always seeking their validation and their approval and their wanting me or desiring me in order to prove that I was lovable, in order to prove that I was worthy, in order to prove that I was wanted. And that is going about it all wrong, right? That's really going about it backwards. But that was so unconscious and so a part of my habit that I wasn't even aware that that was a part of what I was doing. And as I became aware, I slowly began to heal that habit, but it took time because it was definitely an ingrained habit in me. I also did something similar when it came to my work. I started this business. I did love it, but I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And I wanted to prove to myself that I was capable. And really, I wanted to be able to believe in the value of myself. And so I used this entrepreneur business in order to prove that. Thankfully, it was successful, but what would have happened if it would have failed? What would have happened if it wouldn't have worked out? Would I then feel that I have no value when it comes to, being a successful entrepreneur? Like, entrepreneurship is something where it's inevitable that you're gonna fail at something, and that's a part of the learning process. But to define your sense of value, your sense of good enough based on whether or not you succeed or fail is really doing a disservice to the journey of what is entrepreneurship, right? So I really would suggest that you take a moment, even right now, even if you just want to pause this and just take a moment to think about, where in my life am I working really, 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 really hard? Maybe pushing, maybe creating some type of force, maybe manipulating the situation. I don't think that you're necessarily like a bad person, but certainly there were times where I manipulated those relationships to convince them and myself that this was the right relationship. In fact, I do particularly remember one where I convinced them. They didn't even want to date, and I convinced them to date me in order for me to perpetuate this story, right? That was a disservice, that was manipulation on them and on me. It came from the right place. I wasn't trying to manipulate them to go against their will. But in a lot of ways, I was manipulating myself because I was not being present with what I really wanted in my life and in the relationship. So think about places where you're pushing, you're forcing, you're hustling, you're working hard, you're, maybe massaging the situation to work in your benefit. And think about, are you doing that because you feel like you need to fill a void? You need to fill some aspect of who you are, right? So now I want to talk about, how does this hustling for worthiness inevitably lend itself to burnout? And I want to give you another definition, the definition of burnout. Again, I'm going to go to my handy dandy sheet here. So burnout is physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. So ultimately, what does burnout look like in our lives? Okay, well, let's start with the body. Have you ever felt like you're completely exhausted? Mentally, you have a mental block or mental fog. You feel like all you want to do is sit on the couch and quite possibly stare at the wall and do absolutely nothing. Or maybe you just want to binge watch Netflix because you can't deal with life anymore. Maybe you start to feel super heightened emotions where all of a sudden you're happy and then all of a sudden you're in tears, then all of a sudden you're angry and your emotions are all over the place. Or maybe you deal with heavy stress in your neck and shoulders and you have really intense headaches and migraines, especially after a long day at work. These are just a few of the ways in which it shows up in the body. You can also really Google stress in the body, and you're going to get all of the other ways in which burnout shows up. Heart attacks, cardiovascular issues, blood pressure issues, malfunctions in the blood and the lymph, not processing anything in your lymphatic system, adrenal fatigue, thyroid issues. I mean, the list is numerous. And oftentimes this comes from this culture, this way of us being where we are so intently a part of, I have to work in order to prove I am worthy. I have to work harder. I have to be better. I have to do more. Instead of valuing who I am, what it is that I bring to the table, and moving towards an alignment with who I am, my joy, my centeredness, my wholeness. None of that exists in our culture. We're all these driven, intense ways of being that really are not in alignment with who we are. So, what does burnout look like in the mind? Well, oftentimes our minds are just incessantly going and there's no calming down of it. I mean, how many times have you been like, man, I wish I could just turn my brain off? That is you starting to go into stress mode. It's going into hyper mode. You're in the throes, the habit of the intense pushing. And also when you're trying to figure out, well, if I just do this, then I'll be happy. Well, if I just say this, then it'll go my way. Well, if I just do whatever, then I will allow myself to, or I will finally experience this feeling. And that's not actually how this goes. You want to actually align with the feeling and then take action from that place. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So what does it look like spiritually, right? We feel like we're alone. We feel like we're completely disconnected. There's no sense of relationship to the other person. We often feel like we're on this alone island all by ourselves, working hard, hustling. Sometimes we can feel like we're a part of something if we're in the hustling culture and other people are hustling, right? But it still is us in our own little world, pushing and striving and doing and running on that rat race. We also oftentimes feel a disconnection from spirit or spirit guides or God or whatever it is for you, the universe. The universe is here supporting us, but when we're in that place of hustling, we feel like we're the ones that are doing all the work, and therefore there is no help from around us. That's very isolating. And so we start to feel this disconnection, and it gives a broken spirit. Ultimately, you feel broken, you feel fragmented, you feel completely out of alignment, and it becomes very depressing and very sad and very lonely. So now I want to talk a little bit about what is worthiness. And again, I'm going to get my handy dandy sheet out. Worthiness, the quality of being good enough, suitability, the quality of deserving attention or respect. And here's what I want you to know. The quality of being good enough and the quality of deserving attention or respect, you already have all of those things, right? Your value was given to you long before you were born. You came into this being worthy. You came into this being, into this life, good enough. You came into this life, this being, this existence, this crazy, beautiful journey, deserving attention, respect, love, kindness, generosity, help. You came into this world deserving all of those things. So the quality of your deserving is already established. As beautiful Jenna Zoe once said, defining your worthiness is above your pay grade. So honey, stop trying to define your worthiness by things outside of yourself when it's already within you. It's already there. It's basically like you have a pile of cookies and you're working really, really hard to get more cookies in order to prove that the cookies you have are good enough for you to eat and enjoy. That's what's happening right now. I don't know why I went to cookies reference, but I did, and I'm really happy I did. So what I want you to hear in this is that when you come from a centered place of worthiness within yourself, then you're not having to hustle for your worthiness. And in fact, what you can do is you can put all that energy, that working hard energy, towards the things that bring you joy, which is only going to magnetize more joy in your life. So how do we heal this pattern, right? I don't want to leave you with, oh, here's life and stop doing that. Okay, bye. I don't want to do that. I want to give you some tangible, some real life ways to heal this pattern for good. And it is a pattern. It's a pattern, a habit, something that we participate in. So how do we stop any pattern? Well, first, it takes awareness. And awareness takes honesty. So we got to get honest with ourselves. Remember a little bit earlier when I told you to pause and think about where in your life are you working really, really hard, and really maybe you're working hard for all the wrong reasons? This is awareness. This is the first step in awareness and honesty. And you have to start paying attention also to awareness and honesty in the moment. When in the moment are you hustling for your worthiness rather than working hard towards something that you enjoy? The best way to do this is to get in your body. And if you know anything about what I teach or what I preach, and that is the body knows. Our body has a really powerful brain within the gut. We also have a powerful brain within our heart. We also have, of course, the powerful brain within our head. The trouble is, oftentimes we lead from the head and completely discount the rest of our body. Understand that there is a huge gut brain down in the base of your gut. It's down by your perineum, down by basically your pelvic bowl. And when we come from that place, when we feel in our body, oftentimes our body is already giving us signals that we are in overwork, stress, hustle, that we're not in alignment. And a lot of times when we are in that alignment with joy, then everything flows really easy. We can feel it in our body is excited, it feels like it has energy. But when we're not, oftentimes the body will feel heavy, it will feel like it can't move. Maybe you'll feel a little nauseous. Maybe you'll feel like things are just like, you're just like working in sand or quicksand and you're constantly seeking and you can't get anywhere. You could hear it in my voice. I was like constricted and I can't breathe. That is the body telling you that things are not in alignment and you are probably working and hustling for the wrong reasons. So check in with your body. So, number 1, awareness. Number 2, drop into your body. So how do we do that? How do we drop into our body, right? And it's not necessarily this, oftentimes we talk about dropping into the body as like, oh, look down at the body. Well, that's still the head trying to control rather than the embodiment of the feeling. So oftentimes what I suggest to people is to actually close your eyes and imagine there's like a snowflake or like a leaf or a petal that's like falling down into your pelvic bowl. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to drop your awareness from that head center down into the body center. And as you do this, just do a check-in. Body, what am I feeling right now, right? Where am I at? What is going on? Do I feel tension in my chest? I feel like I can't breathe. Is my stomach clenched? Is it nauseous? Is my whole body tense? Are my neck and shoulders like on fire? And do I feel that starting of a headache? All of that are signs that I need to stop and I need to reevaluate. A part of honesty is also getting clear and listening and receiving what it is we are saying to ourselves in our own head. Oftentimes, there's a running loop of monkey chatter that is going on and on and on and on and on. And sometimes when we aren't paying attention to it, it actually starts to drive the show. I don't know if you know anything about circuses, but if the monkeys were running the show at the circus, nothing would ever get done. So the idea here is you want to become aware of what is going on in the mind. And this again can happen from the body. Once you settle into the body, you figure out how you are feeling physically and maybe even feeling emotionally. Maybe as you've dropped down into your chest, you feel sadness or you feel the anxiety. Allow yourself to just receive what your thoughts, what's happening in your brain and what's happening in your head. And sometimes you'll catch yourself saying stuff like, oh, I'm no good at this. Oh, I'm never going to be good at this. Oh, I'm terrible at this. Oh, I'm so stupid. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing any of this? Or the ultimate, which is feeling guilty about taking 2 minutes to just rest because you gotta push. And if you're not pushing, then you're not good enough. And I have definitely heard myself say, man, why am I just sitting here? God, I need to be doing something. If I'm not doing something, then what is my life worth? That is a powerful indication that you are working for your worthiness, that you are hustling for your sense of value, that you're not actually in alignment with your sense of joy. So paying attention to our thoughts, kind of getting a capture of what is going on is the third thing. It's really, 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 really important that you see or at least capture what is going on between these two ears, right? Because sometimes there's some thoughts in there that we do not want running the show. The next is to really get clear on what are the areas in which you are hustling. So maybe you're hustling in your relationships, or you're working really hard to make that perfect relationship work because you want to feel loved, or you want to feel worthy of being loved, right? So when we go about this, we can't come to the relationship saying, please love me to prove that I am lovable. That's never going to work. And it puts a lot of pressure on our partner. It puts a lot of pressure on the thing outside of ourselves. And it also gives all of our power away. So this is step 4. And I'm going to talk about relationships because I think it's pretty easy for us to understand it. But I'll break down some of the other ways in which you can work through this, right? So in a relationship, I'm going to my partner and saying, love me to prove that I am lovable. And this can happen in a long-term relationship. This can happen in a new relationship. This can happen pretty much at any time. And what happens is when you catch yourself doing that, right? And maybe the mental thought is, God, why won't he just love me? I never feel like he loves me, and I just never feel like I'm very loved. Okay, number 1, that's a perfect indication that you need to work on loving yourself, or you need to work on that sense of lovability within yourself. Because it's not somebody else's job ever to make you or prove to you that you are loved or lovable, right? Because maybe that person is going through a bad moment in their life, and you can't put all of your eggs of lovability in that basket that they have and expect yourself to be loved. Because you basically just given all your eggs away. That's what you've done. So when you start to realize mentally that's what's going on, or maybe physically you feel very drained and exhausted and tired and lonely, and like you're longing to feel connected with yourself or to feel love. Maybe it's been a while since you actually felt love. What does love feel like? I haven't actually loved myself or taken care of myself in a while, so I don't even know what it feels like to nurture myself or to be nurtured. Or how can you expect somebody else to give you that when you're not actively cultivating it in your own life? So this gets me to step number 4. Figure out what it is you're hustling for, right? In the relationship, you're hustling for love and lovability. So how can you cultivate that feeling within yourself right now? How can you cultivate loving yourself, feeling loved, being worthy of loviness? Loviness, I don't think that's a word. Point is, how can you cultivate love in your life? How can you align with love for yourself in your life? Some simple ways of doing it is usually around self-care. And I think that's why self-care is so important, especially in our culture, because self-care says, I'm going to take back my ownership of my own value, my own sense of love, my own sense of nurturing, and I'm going to give it to myself so that what happens is you fill up your own cup and the cuppeth runneth over, right? That way, I'm not saying, world, fill my cup up. I'm saying, world, my cup's full. Who needs some? That's what we want. That's what you want to create, because then ultimately you're coming from a place of joy and alignment. So how can you create love for yourself? Well, you can maybe write a list of the things that you love about yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally. Maybe you write about the things that you have succeeded at and how proud of yourself you are. Or maybe you just take some time to nurture yourself. One of my most favorite things to nurture myself is to get a cup of coffee or a cup of hot tea, curl up on the couch with my cozy little blanket and my little puppy, and read a good book, especially a good book by K.F. Brenna. She is one of my favorite writers. I do love her stuff. It always makes me laugh. And sidebar, totally a plug for her. If you love female leads and really, really funny characters, you should definitely check her out. But the idea here is I give myself time to take care of myself, to lock in that me time and cultivate me taking care of myself, right? Maybe I go get a massage. Maybe, I give myself a facial. I love those silly little masks that you pull off or you stick on and then you can pull them off and you look like a weird masked creature. I love those. And the point is, you want to do things that are going to cultivate you loving you or you taking care of yourself. Oftentimes in this place, affirmations are really important because affirmations are a way we shift the focus or the attention of the monkey chatter in our brain, right? We wouldn't look at the monkey at the circus and say, bad monkey, be better. No, you would train the monkey to do what it is that you want to do. I don't know why I'm attached to circuses today, but I am, I guess. The idea with affirmations is the affirmation is your training. The affirmation is the retraining of the thoughts in your brain as they're cycling. So as you catch yourself going into a cycle about why doesn't someone love you and therefore make you feel like you're not good enough to be loved, you can change the affirmation because what you're affirming in that thought is I am unlovable. So change the affirmation to I am lovable and valued in this life. I am lovable and likable, or that makes me think of that Saturday Night skit. Anyways, the point is choose an affirmation which aligns with what it is you ultimately want to experience and to feel. And that's how you can shift the thoughts in your brain. One of my favorite ways to do the little affirmations, because sometimes affirmations, they feel like, that's like all new agey and I just have to think positive thoughts and be on my way. Although it is very valuable, sometimes it feels like I want to do a little bit more. So I love creating a contract with myself. And especially when it's the beginning of a new year or maybe around my birthday or maybe just like every month, like redoing the contract, right? We do contracts and we update contracts with our leasing agents, with our vehicle, all these different big ticket items in our life. So why don't we do little contracts with ourselves, right? A contract or an agreement that states, I'm going to value myself. I'm going to reestablish that what I am seeking in life is already within me and set an intention for the contract and a period of time, right? So if you're interested in doing this little idea or this little fun experiment, I do have a freebie that you can download. I've put it in the show notes below. So go ahead and download it. You can get your own contract. You can fill in your name. You can basically write out your intentions or the things that you want to agree to for the next year. And then you can sign it and date it. And what I would suggest is do that, frame it, put it on your desk, hang it on the wall, put it somewhere that you're gonna see all the time. That way you're constantly engaging that agreement over and over and over again. So let's do a little recap. How can you permanently heal this hustle for worthiness, which ultimately equals to burnout habit, right? How can you heal it for good so that it doesn't come back? Well, number one starts with awareness and honesty. You got to get honest and aware about what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. And then you need to drop into your body. Check in. How do I feel? Where do I feel pain or discomfort? Am I excited? Am I not excited? Do I feel drained? Do I feel heavy? What is my body trying to communicate to me? Then, once you kind of figure out, okay, awareness, where am I hustling and why am I doing it? Where am I working hard and why am I doing it? Then getting clear on also, what is it that I'm hustling for? If ultimately I'm in a relationship, but I'm in the relationship because I want to feel lovable, then I need to work on loving myself. If I'm at work and I'm trying to be successful at work in order to prove my value as a person, then I need to work on valuing myself. If I am seeking outside of myself for my sense of happiness, then I need to find happiness from within, right? So what is the thing that I am trying to solve for by working so hard? And how can I then embody it, be in my body with it, and allow it to come up and out, right? How can I align with that feeling in my body? And this one I love because you can still use the body sequence, right? Drop into your body. What does love feel like? What does happiness feel like? What does joy feel like? What does success feel like? Align with that feeling in your body. And then from that feeling in your body, from the emanation of that alignment, then say, what is my next step? Come from the feeling rather than seeking the feeling outside of yourself. So as you begin to take these steps and move towards the wholeness of who you are and knowing that you are valuable enough, you are good enough, you are amazing, you are lovable, you are all these amazing, incredible things, then you can take action. You can take the step moving forward from that place. And ultimately what that does is it magnetizes that sense of alignment with what it is that you want. And you're not saying, universe, prove to me, or universe, I don't have this, so I then need it. All the universe says is, I don't have this, so please give more of me if I don't have this. That's not what we want. What we want is to say, I am loved, I am lovable, I am good enough, I am worthy enough, I am valuable, my cup runneth over. I give that to the world, and as I give, so I shall receive, right? As I give, I emanate that energy, and I actually magnetize that energy back to myself. But if I come from the place of giving hard work and pushing, which is giving all of this effort from a place of, I'm not good enough, I'm just going to get more of that back. It works both ways, right? That's what the law of attraction is. It doesn't care whether it's good or bad or enjoyable or not. It's going to give you exactly what you asked for. So come from the alignment and be centered in what it is you already are, which is absolutely incredible, and come from that place, and you're going to magnetize even more of that. So I hope that you've received something amazing from this today, and I really would love to hear your experience with hustling and working hard. Where have you in your life seen the value of hustling and working, and where have you started to see the lack of value, the struggle with it, and what kind of burnout have you experienced in your life? And ultimately, how can I help you? How can I help you find that sense of balance, that sense of centeredness for where you are? So please comment below your experience with hustling and your experience with worthiness, and I would love to read it. Really, if you loved this so much, please share it with a friend, because I feel like we need to help heal each other in the process of our habit and our addiction to this busy burnout culture. So share it with somebody that you love. Hopefully you got something great out of it. If you did, please comment below. If you want me to talk on a certain topic, or if you have questions that you really want, me to explore a little bit, then I would love to receive them. You can instant message me on Instagram or Facebook, or even here on YouTube. My Instagram handle is cody.lee, and Facebook is @CodyLee. And until next time, I hope you have a beautiful day. And until next time, please know that you are powerful beyond measure. Do I look pretty? Do I look pretty like this? I hope I look pretty.